guess on the non-firework front, Jeff, what, how difficult or how much of an added degree of difficulty is there preparing for West Virginia when this current team this year, when there's only one game to look at?
Yeah, it's hard preparing for them anyway because it's difficult to simulate, especially this year, their size, their athleticism, their strength. They're a pretty big team, especially if they start the way they started the last game. They're basically, after McCabe, they're all 6'7" and above, and versatile and strong and physical. But it is what it is. I mean, we have one game of film, and Akron played them tough, but West Virginia's a good team, and we know that they're a team that wants to be disruptive defensively. Obviously, they rebound the basketball. Their guys have gotten better, especially Culver and Matthews. Those two guys have really, really gotten better. So it's going to be a tough challenge for us.
You talk about their size. Do you feel like Terrell is looking forward to this after playing well in the first three games? The challenge he's going to see.
I think he's looking forward for every opportunity to play. I mean, he's done some good things in our first three games, and we need him to continue to do that, especially against this opponent.
Jeff, you had talked earlier about how it's really hard to simulate what they do, but especially for ball handlers like X and Trey, how valuable, even though it can be against a different team with some different players, how potentially valuable is that experience of having played them last year and having some level of familiarity?
I think that helps. I also think playing Florida State early helps. Obviously, they have size, they have athleticism, and they defend the ball screen a certain way, which we anticipate. I anticipate West Virginia doing that, and so hopefully we can utilize some of the things that we've learned even from this year to help us in our preparation and to be ready to attack them.
There's lots of teams with size. Is West Virginia kind of unique in that they have big guys that are physical and aggressive?
Big guys that are physical, that are aggressive, but also that are versatile. Like you take a guy like Matthews, he can really play all the positions in college, and so that's difficult, to prepare for. We don't have a guy like that yet. But certainly those big guys inside with Culver and Big Oscar, it's very rare in college basketball now, in my opinion, where a team is actually trying to attack you constantly inside. Mainly the big guys now are ball screening and rim running and things like that. Maybe you have one guy that you're really trying to throw it down to every time. They have two guys that they're really trying to get it down to, but then because of the size of their the size of their wings, they post those guys too. And so that provides a different type of challenge for us.
Jeff, we had talked with you a couple of weeks ago about Justin and kind of coming back, not just physically but mentally from that injury. How far along do you think he is in that process now? How much more comfortable does he seem out there?
He's progressing. I think each game, he's getting better. I mean, he's figuring it out. He's figuring out college basketball. He was thrown right in the fire right away, as were all of our new guys with Florida State. And then how do you recover from that? How do you move on to the next play after having some success? And none of us handled Nichols, the right way. I thought he did some good things at Robert Morris. I think his effort level of understanding, all of the nuances of college basketball and how you have to work, rest, prepare mentally and physically. I think he's figuring those things out, and I think he's getting better.
Coach, you talk about how you're in an odd spot with West Virginia only having played one game. Has most of your preparation come from film from the Akron game, or have you guys also taken things away from last year's game?
We look at everything. So certainly a lot, a big part of it is the Akron game. We have watched, our game last year, but it's hard because they really have almost like a brand new roster. If you look at the guys that played against us, it's very few of them that are back. The ones that are back are good, but they've added so many new pieces. I don't remember Culver playing against us last year, and he's really good. And so a lot of it has been from Akron, though.
This is your second year at Pitt. I mean, last year was the first year this series started playing again. So, I mean, there's not a lot of history for the individuals, players and coaches. But it seemed like last year's game was pretty physical and even chippy at times. I mean, was there energy in the rivalry, energy of sort of playing this backyard brawl that it just kind of came naturally?
Yeah, it seemed like it. I mean, it was a very, very physical game, very physical. And certainly they have a great home court, and their crowd was, really into the game. And I thought both teams fought and competed. But it was a really, really physical game.
You obviously have a lot of experience in, rivalry kind of games, Duke, Carolina, things like that. Well, is this game different because it's not a conference game anymore? It comes early in the year. It doesn't quite mean as much. I mean, for the end result of the team's seasons, does it make it different, in your opinion?
Different than
like a Duke, Carolina.
Well, I don't think anything compares to that.
Well, or even like
Yeah, no, I do think it's, when I was at, the head coach of ECU, Richmond had left and joined the A-10, and we still played them, and it meant a lot. It meant a lot. The game was played early, but it meant a lot, to the people, to the fans, to the students, to, certainly the coach, everyone. It meant a lot. And so I do think this means a lot to people. I think it means a lot to us. I'm sure it means a lot to them. I know it means a lot to our fans. And so it still is it's a big game. It's a huge game, and it's a game we want to win.
What's your assessment through 3 games of Xavier and how he's played this season?
I don't think he's played as well as he's capable of playing. He hasn't shot it as well, but the decision making has been just okay. I thought he did a really good job, especially in the second half against Robert Morris. I thought he controlled the game, and I thought he did some things down the stretch against Florida State. But I think he would even tell you he hasn't played as well as he's capable of playing, as well as we know that he can play. And we need him to do that.
Does it seem in some ways like he's trying to do too much, or he's pressing a bit? I mean, how much of what you see him struggling with maybe ties into that?
Well, I don't think he's played bad. I just don't think
Sure.
he's played as well as he's capable of playing. I think some of it has to do that defenses are geared up even more for him right now. We have a lot of unknowns. Some of it has to be right away, the competition right away. Florida State being the first game, they really tried to take the ball out of his hands. And so some of it has to do with the way that he's been schemed.
When a young player like him is coming off the season that he had, with all the accolades and even externally with some NBA talk, how do you approach a guy like that more from a mental standpoint, or are you a little more hands off?
No, everyone has to stay in the moment. That's the bottom line. You can't get caught up in the noise, and you can't start. And I'm not saying he's doing it, but no player can get caught up in the noise or thinking that you've arrived, because the moment that happens, you're beat. Because the thing that you have, Xavier has, all of our guys, is that you have hunger. And if you allow that to be gone, then you're not as good, because it's one of the things that made him really good, that has made him really good, is that he had this hunger just to go after you, to go after everyone, wasn't afraid of anything, and things like that. And so sometimes with young people especially, if you have some success and people are saying things about you, you have something, some form of success, then, maybe it can make you soft. I'm not saying that's happened with him, but I've seen it happen before, and it's our job to make sure that doesn't happen with any of our guys.
I guess is that something that's a little tougher to kind of guard against now with like social media and the prevalence of all that?
It's certainly tougher than it was back when I played. because the noise is even louder now. There's so many different ways that young people now can access information. And as much as you tell them, don't pay attention to it, that's what they've grown up with. And they look at mentions. They look and see, and it affects them, what people say. It's hard for me at times to understand as an adult, but I think it even affects adults. And so it is a different. It is different. It's very different, but you have to be able to adapt and adjust and be able to communicate and get young people to understand that they need to be in our moment and listen to the voice inside of our locker room.
I remember you talking about that after the Nichols game too, and I was wondering, I mean, did you ever consider, or would you consider a social media policy, even maybe just during the season, of like,
No.
guys stay off it?
No, that's their right. It's not my job to tell them that they can't be on something. Now, if they don't handle it right, or if they are not responsible, one of the things we try to do is teach them how to be responsible with social media. But I don't think anyone's telling a regular student to get off of it. And these are student athletes. Just because they play, it doesn't mean they don't have the same rights. So that's not something I would do. I'm not saying that coaches don't do that, and they're right with whatever they do. It's what they believe, but that's not something that I believe in.
Terrell's played pretty well the last couple of games. This feels like a game where you might need more than one big guy to go to battle. What have you seen from Hamilton so far, or what might you like to see more from him going forward?
Well, certainly to rebound more, defensive rebound more. I think he's done a good job. I thought he did some good things against Florida State, but both he and Kareem and Terrell, all three of them, we need them to play big, physical. We need them to rebound and protect our basket.